This happened to me in November of 1987. I was 23 years old, working as a broadcast engineer at WMTR, a small independent television station in Muncie, Indiana. I'm 59 now, and I still think about that night at least once a week. I've never had a good explanation for what happened. WMTR operated out of a converted warehouse on the east side of town, near the railroad tracks. We were a low-budget operation, mostly syndicated reruns, local news at 6, and religious programming on Sunday mornings. The station had been in that building since 1979. I worked the overnight shift, which meant 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., mostly alone, except for whoever was running master control until 2 a.m. when we switched to automated programming. I'd been at the station for about 8 months at that point. The overnight shift was considered entry-level, and I was grateful to have it. My main responsibilities were monitoring the transmitter, handling any technical issues that came up, and this happened to me in November of 1987. I was 23 years old, working as a broadcast engineer at WMTR, a small independent television station in Muncie, Indiana. I'm 59 now, and I still think about that night at least once a week. I've never had a good explanation for what happened. WMTR operated out of a converted warehouse on the east side of town, near the railroad tracks. We were a low-budget operation, mostly syndicated reruns, local news at 6, and religious programming on Sunday mornings. The station had been in that building since 1979. I worked the overnight shift, which meant 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., mostly alone, except for whoever was running master control until 2 a.m. when we switched to automated programming. I'd been at the station for about 8 months at that point. The overnight shift was considered entry-level, and I was grateful to have it. My main responsibilities were monitoring the transmitter, handling any technical issues that came up, and making sure the automated systems ran smoothly through the night. It was usually quiet work. I'd bring a thermos of coffee and some textbooks. I was taking electrical engineering classes during the day at Ball State. The night of November 18th started normal. Rick, the master control operator, left at 2:15 a.m. after we switched over to the satellite feed. I did my rounds, checked the transmitter room, verified all the levels looked good, made sure the backup generators were functioning. Everything was standard. The building was empty except for me. Around 3:47 a.m., I was at the engineering desk reading when the program monitor went black. Just completely dead signal. Then it came back, but it wasn't our satellite feed anymore. The screen showed what looked like a camera pointed at a concrete wall. Poor quality, like it was shot on a home video camera. No sound. I immediately checked the signal meters. We were still transmitting, but the source had changed. The automation log showed nothing unusual. According to the system, we were still receiving the normal satellite feed. I tried to switch inputs manually. Nothing happened. The image stayed on the screen, just that concrete wall, slightly out of focus. I could see what looked like water stains and some kind of mineral deposits. The camera was absolutely still. Then I heard it through the intercom system. A voice. Male. Speaking slowly. "Can you see this?" The intercom shouldn't have been active. It was a closed system we used for communication between the control room and the studio floor. Nobody else was supposed to be in the building. I didn't answer. I was trying to figure out if someone was playing a prank. We'd had issues with teenagers breaking into the property before, never into the building itself. I grabbed the phone to call the police, but the line was dead. Not just busy, completely dead, no dial tone. On the monitor, the camera started moving. Very slow pan to the right. The concrete wall continued for a few seconds, then the camera revealed a doorway. Metal door, institutional looking, the kind you'd see in a basement or maintenance area. The intercom crackled again. "You should recognize this." I didn't recognize it. I checked our broadcast signal again. We were definitely transmitting this. Anyone watching WMTR in the middle of the night was seeing this feed. I tried the emergency broadcast override. It didn't work. I tried manually cutting power to the transmitter. The circuit breaker wouldn't move. I couldn't physically flip it. The camera continued panning. Now I could see what looked like old equipment, shelving units, more concrete. Then the image cut to black for exactly 3 seconds. When it came back, it was showing a different angle of what appeared to be the same room. This time I could see something else. A chair, the metal folding kind. There was something on the chair, but the video quality was too poor to make out details. "Check the tape room," the voice said through the intercom. Our tape room was down the hall from where I sat, maybe 40 feet away. It's where we stored all our physical media, broadcast tapes, old commercials, archived news footage. I'd been in there at the start of my shift. There was no reason for me to go back. I didn't move. I was trying to think logically. Someone had to be in the building, somehow accessing both our broadcast system and our intercom. The doors were locked. I'd checked them. There were only 3 entrances: front door, back loading dock, and the emergency exit. All required keys I had on my belt. The monitor went black again. This time it stayed black for almost a minute. Then our regular satellite feed resumed right in the middle of an old western. Everything was normal again. I checked the system logs. According to every piece of equipment, nothing had happened. The automation logs showed an uninterrupted feed from the satellite. The transmitter records showed steady signal strength, no fluctuations. I sat there for probably 5 minutes, trying to decide what to do. Then I grabbed the heavy-duty flashlight we kept for power outages and went to check the tape room. The hallway lights were on, same as always. Everything was quiet except for the hum of the HVAC system. The tape room door was closed but not locked. It was never locked from the inside. I opened it slowly. The room looked exactly like I'd left it. Rows of metal shelving units organized by date and type. The concrete walls and floor. Then I saw it. In the back corner, there was a metal folding chair. We had several of these in the building. They were used in the studio for interview setups. But I was absolutely certain there hadn't been a chair in the tape room at the start of my shift. I knew this room. I'd been in and out of it dozens of times. On the chair was a VHS tape. No label, just a blank tape in a generic black plastic case. I didn't touch it. I backed out of the room and went directly back to the engineering desk. I called the station manager from my personal cell phone. This was 1987, so I had to drive to a payphone at the gas station 2 blocks away at 4:30 in the morning. He told me to lock everything up and wait for him. He arrived around 5:15 a.m. with Dale, who was head of programming. We reviewed everything together. They checked the tape room. The chair was there. The tape was there. We played back our overnight broadcast recordings. There was no intrusion on any of the recordings. According to every piece of physical record, we broadcast the normal satellite feed all night, without interruption. But I'd seen it. For at least 4, maybe 5 minutes, we broadcast something else. We brought in a technician from Indianapolis to check all our equipment. He found nothing wrong, no sign of tampering, no way someone could have accessed our broadcast signal from outside the building. The FCC got involved because of regulations about unauthorized broadcasts. They investigated for about 2 weeks. Their conclusion was that I either imagined it or fell asleep and dreamed it. The equipment logs supported their conclusion. Nobody ever watched the tape from the chair. The station manager put it in his desk drawer, and as far as I know, it stayed there. I left WMTR in February of 1988 for a job in Fort Wayne. I didn't want to work overnight shifts anymore. I've thought about this a lot over the years. I've tried to come up with rational explanations. Maybe I did fall asleep. I was taking a full course load during the day, and those overnight shifts were exhausting. Maybe it was some kind of elaborate prank by Rick or someone else at the station, though I can't imagine how they could have pulled it off, or why. But I remember the specifics too clearly. That concrete wall, that folding chair, that voice on the intercom, calm, measured, like someone conducting an experiment, and that chair appearing in the tape room. The building where WMTR operated is gone now. It was demolished in 1994 after the station moved to a new facility in the industrial park. I've tried to find out what was there before it was converted to a TV station in 1979. County records show it was warehouse space, built in 1952, used for agricultural equipment storage. Nothing unusual. I still work in broadcasting, but I've never worked another overnight shift alone. I don't know what I saw that night. I don't know if we actually broadcast that signal or if I experienced some kind of breakdown. I don't know who was speaking through the intercom or how they could have accessed our systems without leaving any trace. What bothers me most is the voice asking if I recognize the location, like I was supposed to know that room. I've never figured out what that meant. I'm sharing this because it's been more than 36 years and I still don't have answers. If anyone worked at WMTR in the late 80s and remembers anything unusual from that time, I'd like to hear from you. And if you were the person behind this, if it was somehow a prank I never understood, I'd like to know that too. Some things stay with you. That concrete wall, that folding chair, that voice. I still see them when I close my eyes.